Hi, this is Yuki from Muha Games, and I'm here to show you our brand new Honey Hex Framework. So, welcome to Honey Hex Framework tutorial. In this tutorial, you will learn how to customize Honey assets. Let's start with Honey Hex Framework imported on the test scene. If you want to create a new foreground atlas, go to Window, UFT, Atlas Editor. You should remove Standard Atlas and its texture provided with Honey. Drag and drop textures you want to have within the new atlas. Use Auto Align and Size. Set a name for your atlas, for example, foreground, and press Save. Atlas has been created in root directory. It's good to move it somewhere. Now inform World Game objects of the new atlas to use. You don't need Atlas Editor anymore. Open Window, Honey Framework, Terrain Editor, and remove all terrain definitions. The green plus button allows you to add new empty terrain definition. You have to remember that Honey requires a minimum of 3 types of terrain definition. The order doesn't matter, but let us start with River. Each terrain defines 3 textures. Diffuse, which is terrain color, height, the terrain shape, and Mixer, terrain blending strength. Now mark this terrain as is river type. Default name is taken from diffuse texture. Second terrain you need is the one which fills chunks where nothing is defined, such as map borders. Sand diffuse and dark height texture will give us sea terrain. If you add sea tag, this terrain will extend its diffuse producing beaches. But it would still be just regular terrain unless we mark it as is border type. Default sand isn't good name here. Rename it to sea. Now when you have river and border definition, you need at least one type of normal terrain. By the way, Mixer texture is made similarly to alpha for alpha blending, but our shaders use it differently. For this terrain, we may want to have at least some foliage. Dead tree seems good for March. Let's make it, for example, 50. Time to check how our world looks. One terrain type for Midland, rivers and sea. Very simple world. To get more interesting terrain, you need more terrain types. This time it could be hill. You may add tags to those terrains, but only the tag C has any effect at the moment. You may ask any hex for its terrain tags and add more tags if you like. 2 terrain types in Midland makes it much more interesting already. Honey ensures that rivers, sea, and other terrains blend naturally. You may experiment by mixing different terrain textures. There is nothing wrong when you use plains diffuse mixed with height from hills. And one of the available mixers. Then add trees of your choice. You may also customize foliage theme color. Color selected here is so light it may seem better on snowy terrains. The terrain gets more interesting with every new type provided. This time it's mountain. The best way to have well-themed foliage is usually picking color from diffuse. What if you want to have some snowy terrains? Foliage themes should be adjusted on terrains of your choice. Producing new terrain textures isn't time-consuming, especially if you just want to try something new. You can use other texture as a base or make one yourself. For example, you may want to have snow variation of the plains. The simplest way is to invert colors in Photoshop, and then copy over from one channel to RGB layer. Save it as a new texture, and that's all for Photoshop. Then use the new texture instead of the green plains. And press play. You may spend much more time ensuring terrain quality is even better. But you can also easily and quickly try some new ideas. And Honey will do its best to make it look nice. Thank you.